8187. What is the highest flight level that operations may be conducted without the pilot at the controls wearing and using an oxygen mask, while the other pilot is away from the duty station? A. F-1410. B. FL-250. C. Above FL-410. The correct answer is A. When operating at flight altitudes over FL-410, if a pilot must ever leave the controls of the aircraft for any reason, the other pilot at the controls is required to don their oxygen mask and utilize it until the other pilot has returned to their duty station. 8174. What is the passenger oxygen supply requirement for a flight in a turbine-powered aircraft with a cabin pressure altitude in excess of 15,000 feet? Enough oxygen for A. Each passengers for the entire flight above 15,000 feet cabin altitude. B. 30% of the passengers. C. 10% of the passengers for 30 minutes. The correct answer is A. For flights with cabin pressure altitudes above 15,000 feet, the certificate holder is responsible for ensuring that each passenger has access to enough oxygen for the duration of the flight at those altitudes. 8186. For flights above which cabin altitude must oxygen be provided for all passengers during the entire flight at those altitudes? A. 15,000 feet. B. 16,000 feet. C. 14,000 feet. The correct answer is A. The certificate holder is required to supply enough oxygen for each passenger during the whole flight at cabin pressure levels higher than 15,000 feet. 8185. For a 2-hour flight in a reciprocating engine-powered airplane at a cabin pressure altitude of 12,000 feet, how much supplemental oxygen for sustenance must be provided? Enough oxygen for A. 30 minutes for 10% of the passengers. B. 10% of the passengers for 1.5 hours. C. Each passenger for 30 minutes. The correct answer is A. Each certificate holder shall supply enough oxygen for 10% of the passengers to survive for 30 minutes during a flight in a reciprocating engine-powered aircraft at cabin pressure altitudes above 8,000 feet and up to and including 14,000 feet. 8182. The supplemental oxygen requirements for passengers when a flight is operated at FL-250 is dependent upon the airplane's ability to make an emergency descent to a flight altitude of A. 10,000 feet within 4 minutes. B. 14,000 feet within 4 minutes. C. 12,000 feet within 4 minutes, or at a minimum rate of 2,500 feet per minute, whichever is quicker. The correct answer is B. The ability of the aircraft to fall to 14,000 feet in less than 4 minutes in the case of a loss of pressurization determines the supplemental oxygen requirements for passengers aboard pressurized aircraft.